Hello everyone, and today I'll be going over every single killer perk in DBD as of the release of the Skull Merchant update, and I'll be giving you guys the perk name, an explanation of the perk, and a tip and synergy to go along with it. Here we go. And also I'll be doing in alphabetical order so it's easier, as it is the same in the actual game itself. To start off, a nurse's calling. The auras of survivors who are healing or being healed are revealed to you when they are within range of 20, 24 to 28 meters. A tip in Synergy, this perk is useful in all situations and killers, but is especially good on stealth killers, as you can see where they are healing and sneak up to them, interrupting them and getting a free down, and Legion, since its whole power is based on constant injury. A good perk synergy includes any perk that hinders healing, like Sloppy Butcher and Thanatophobia. Agitation, one of Trapper's 3 teachable perks. When carrying a survivor, you benefit from the following effects. Increases your movement speed by 6 to 18%, and increases your terror radius by 12 meters. This perk is also well-rounded on every killer as it speeds up the hooking process. Iron Grasp, Mad Grit, and Starstruck also work well with Agitation, as Iron Grip dims the wiggling effects, Mad Grit punishes survivors for taking hits, and Starstruck takes it to a whole new level by exposing the survivors to a one-hit down for being in your terror radius whilst carrying a survivor. Awakened Awareness, one of the Mastermind's 3 teachable perks. While carrying a survivor, the auras of all other survivors are revealed to you when they are within 16 to 20 meters of your location. Though this is a perk which includes carrying a survivor, this is not a bad perk by any means, but it is kind of a waste of a perk slot when using it compared to the Agitation build. It could work well with the Agitation build, replacing Mad Grit, but if you have a powerful headset or already have good knowledge of where the survivors are, then this perk becomes useless, as well as the chance that the survivors are nowhere near you, and probably focus on generators elsewhere instead of losing a health stay for a slight chance at them wiggling off. Bamboozle, one of the Clown's 3 teachable perks. After vaulting a window, Bamboozle calls upon the entity to block a window for the next 8 to 16 seconds. These block windows cannot be vaulted, and they increase your vaulting speed by 5 to 15%. Bamboozle only blocks one window at a time though. Bamboozle is an anti-looper fan favorite, as you can stop the survivor's most powerful infinite with a simple, sped up vault. This works well with all killers, with the exception of Nurse, because why would you vault when you can instant transmission instead? The killers Legion, Shape, and Wesker are ideal for this perk, as it works along with their power. Barbecue and Chili, one of the Cannibal's 3 teachable perks. After hooking a survivor, all survivors who are at least 60 to 40 meters away from that hook have their aura revealed to you for 4 seconds. A once beloved perk brought down to its knees, never to stand as high as it was ever again. This perk was loved because of its bonus 100% blood points in all categories for just hooking each survivor once. Though it doesn't have that bonus anymore, sadly, it's still a good information perk. This is good on all killers, but is better on fast moving and teleporting killers like Blight, Nurse, and Freddy. Beasts of Prey, one of the Huntresses' 3 teachable perks. Upon gaining Bloodlust, which is when you chase a survivor for more than 15 seconds without breaking a pallet, grants you the Undetectable status, which removes your terror radius completely as long as the Bloodlust is active. Beasts of Prey also grants 30 to 50% bonus blood points for actions in the Hunter category. I personally don't see this as being useful on any killer. The only killers I would think would be good with this is insta-down killers, as when you finally gain Bloodlust by chasing a survivor, you can split off and sneak up to someone and surprise them with a chainsaw as Billy or Leatherface, or if you just want a surprise hit, since you can't catch that pesky survivor looping you at the killer shack. Bitter Murmur, a base kit perk. Each time a generator is completed, the auras of all survivors within 16 meters of that generator are revealed to you for 5 seconds. Once the generator is completed, the auras of all survivors are revealed to you to 5 for 10 seconds. Since it's a base kit perk, it's easy to get and most people are already familiar with it. Though it's an aura reading perk, it's the same with Awakened Awareness. If you already have eyes on them, it's kind of a perk waste. One benefit is that if you are far away, you can see where they might be working next. Blood Echo, one of the Oni's 3 teachable perks. When hooking a survivor, all other injured survivors suffer from the hemorrhage and exhausted status effects for 45 seconds. This can be triggered once every 80 to 60 seconds. Blood Echo is a pretty underused perk because of how situational it is. It's useful for injured survivors to be exhausted so you can have an easier time downing them. One killer though makes it better, Legion, since it's most likely the survivors will still be healing if you get it down and multiple stabs, since that's basically his whole power. Blood Warden, one of the Nightmare's 3 teachable perks. As soon as one of the exit gates are open, Blood Warden activates. The auras of survivors standing within the exit gate region are revealed to you. Once per game, hooking a survivor while Blood Warden is active calls upon the entity to block the exits for all survivors for 30 to 60 seconds. This perk I don't usually use because of how powerful it can be, but sometimes it's a necessity for killers to be able to gain advantage during endgame, or if they just want a kill or a 4K at all. This works well on all killers, but in terms of perks, it works well with some of the most scummiest ones, like Hex, No One Escapes Death, Agitation, and any aura reading perk for the situation, since Hex Noed is an insta-down when all gens are done, and Agitation to get to a hook faster, with an aura reading perk to find survivors after the hook, like Barbecue and Chili. Bloodhound, one of the Wraith's 3 teachable perks. Pools of blood are shown in bright red and can be tracked for 2 to 4 seconds extra. This perk is a part of the laughing stock of DVD perks. To take up a whole slot of 4, the only benefit is to make blood brighter and last a couple seconds longer. I guess this can be used for a tracking build with Sloppy to make blood pour more often. Other than that, don't use this perk. Ever. Brutal Strength, one of the Trapper's 3 teachable perks. Increases the action speed of breaking pallets, walls, and damaging generators by 10 to 20%. This perk is included in one of my favorite builds for killer. The build consists of Brutal Strength, obviously, Enduring, Spirit Fury, and with the recently added perk, Thwack. Enduring to recover from a stun faster, Brutal Strength to break a pallet faster, Thwack to increase speed after breaking a pallet, and Spirit Fury to instantly break the pallet when stunned after breaking 2 pallets previously. Coal of Brine, one of the Onryo's 3 teachable perks. After damaging a generator, Coal of Brine activates on that gen for 60 seconds. The damage generator regresses at 115 to 125% as of the new patch that is most likely to come soon, of the normal regression speed, and its aura is highlighted to you in yellow. Receive a loud noise notification each time a survivor hits a good skill check on the affected generator. As mentioned, a soon-to-be nerfed perk. This one was used in a particular anti-gen build, but might be replaced if next patch includes the nerf. This works alright with survivors that can't hit great skill checks, but that will be astronomical amounts of luck. By the way, don't use it with surveillance. They don't work together. Corrupt Intervention, one of the Plague's 3 teachable perks. At the start of a trial, the 3 generators located farthest from you are blocked by the entity for 80 to 120 seconds. Though since of the recent nerf, if you down any survivor, the perk completely dissipates and becomes useless for the rest of the game. Another favorite, now nerfed, but is still pretty good if you can't get those early downs. This works well with early game starts, as it prevents the possible loss of a gen due to you not knowing where they are. It works well with Lethal Pursuer to find out where they are at the start as well. Coulrophobia, one of the Clown's 3 teachable perks. For all survivors within your terror radius, the following effects apply. Reduces their healing speed by 30 to 50%, and increases the rotation speed of the healing skill checks by 50%. This perk excels with Legion, along with perks Distressing, which increases your terror radius, Sloppy Butcher, and Thanatophobia. But heads up, don't use it on low and no terror radius killers like Myers, Huntress, and Ghostface, as the perk will become completely useless. Coup de Grace, one of the Twins' 3 teachable perks. Each time a generator is completed, Coup de Grace grows in power and gains a token. Every time you lunge, you consume a token, and you lunge an extra 70 to 80% further. This perk is just fun to use. It's mostly utilized to get that extra distance on a survivor trying to go for that toxic pallet or vault. It doesn't really have any synergies, but it has a downside of the survivors needing to essentially give you a token by completing a gen, which you don't want to happen anyway. But if it comes to that, hey, free lunge distance. Claustrophobia, the Demogorgon. Blocks all vault locations within 32 meters of a completed generator for 20 to 30 seconds for all survivors. The auras of all blocked vault locations are revealed to you during that duration. This used to be a perk for the long lost Demogorgon, but is now a base kit in the Bloodweb. This works well with Bitter Murmur and honestly the Brutal Strength Enduring build since it doesn't block pallets. Dark Devotion, one of the Plague's 3 teachable perks. Whenever the Obsession loses a health state by any means and thus enters injured state, it activates. Your terror radius transfers to the Obsession for 20 to 30 seconds and its radius is set to a base 32 meters and also grants you the undetectable status for that duration. This is another fun perk to use and also works well with insta-down killers like Billy and Leatherface for a surprise down. It could work with Haunted Grounds for another alternate insta-down method, or just for a surprise grab. Darkness Revealed, one of the Dredge's 3 teachable perks. When you search a locker, the aura of all survivors within 8 meters of any locker are revealed to you for 3 to 5 seconds. On any killer, especially with Huntress and Trickster, which requires you to open lockers to reload, is oddly enough amazing. The fact that you can simply look in any locker at all and see survivors anywhere around the map next to one is ridiculous. This synergizes well with Iron Maiden or Huntress and Trickster because they have to reload, and it just speeds up the locker reload process, or the locker search process. Dead Man's Switch, one of the Death Slinger's 3 teachable perks. After hooking a survivor, Dead Man's Switch activates for the next 20 to 30 seconds. While activated, any survivor that stops repairing a generator before it is fully repaired causes the entity to block the generator until Dead Man's Switch's effects ends. Affected generators are highlighted by a white aura. An odd perk, but a useful one in some cases. This works well with Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance, and Eruption, which forces the survivor off a gen when done correctly, which then reveals to you where they are by the white aura from Dead Man's Switch. Deadlock, one of the Cenobite's 3 teachable perks. Whenever a generator is completed, the entity blocks the generator with the most progression for 20 to 30 seconds. The aura of the block generator is also revealed to you in a white aura. This is just a good perk to halt progress on the next gen to give you a chance to catch up or get to that gen, or just flat out annoy the survivors. Though this stops most of the progression gen for 30 seconds, this can hurt you because you can't damage it until it's over unless you utilize Eruption and Pain Resonance. Deathbound, one of the Executioner's 3 teachable perks. Whenever a survivor heals another survivor for the equivalent of a health state, at least 32 meters away from you, Deathbound activates. Causes the survivor to scream and trigger a loud noise notification. For the next 60 seconds, the survivor suffers from the Oblivious status effect, whenever they are 16 to 8 meters from the healed survivor. This is a very complicated and situational perk. I would say it's only useful if you don't know where the survivors are, or if you want to sneak up on a survivor if they don't stick together long enough, which is highly unlikely, but you never know. Deerstalker, a base kit perk. The auras of all survivors in the dying state within 20 to 36 meters of your location are revealed to you. Slugging build is all I really get from this. It's useful if you want to down another survivor after downing the first one, but it's mostly used in just slugging builds with knockout and sloppy. Discordance, one of the Legion's 3 teachable perks. Any generator within a range of 64 to 128 meters that is being repaired by 2 or more people is marked by a yellow aura. When the generator is first highlighted, Discordance triggers a noise notification on that generator. After the generator is no longer within range or is just being repaired by one survivor, the aura will only linger for another 4 seconds before it dissipates into red, which is the base color. This is good to find survivors and works well on surprise killers like Wraith, Ghostface, Myers, or the speedy ones like Blight, Nurse, and Billy to catch them off guard. But usually after a while, the survivors will begin to know why you keep finding them when they are working together on a generator. Dissolution, one of the Dredge's 3 teachable perks. 3 seconds after injuring a survivor, Dissolution activates for 12 to 20 seconds. While Dissolution is active, if a survivor fast vaults over a pallet while they're inside your terror radius, the entity will break the pellet at the end of the vault, and also deactivating the perk. Another situational perk, but fun if done correctly, or if you're just lucky. I could say this is a good with Bamboozle to block windows and force them to vault pallets, but usually when you hit a survivor, they just W key the other side of the map, not allowing you to get the value of the perk. Distreshing. Oh fuck, what? Distressing. A base kit perk. Increases your tear radius by 22 to 26 meters, and also grants 100% bonus blood points for all actions in the deviousness category. Either use this one in your anti-heal or slugging build, or for some reason more blood points. Probably more blood points because of the great amount of blood points you can get from games. Dragon's Grip. One of the Blight's 3 teachable perks. After damaging a generator, Dragon's Grip activates on that generator for the next 30 seconds. The first survivor interacting with the generator will scream, revealing their location for 4 seconds, and suffer from the exposed status effect for 60 seconds. Dragon's Grip has a cooldown of 120 to 80 seconds. Dragon's Grip is another one of those fun perks to use. For this to work with smarter survivors, I recommend either using a stealth killer or the insidious perk, Hide, and surprise them when they try to get back on their gen progress. Dying Light. One of the Shape's 3 teachable perks. Each time you hook a survivor other than your obsession, you gain a token. For as long as the obsession is alive, all other survivors suffer from a stackable 2 to 3% penalty to repairing, healing, and sabotaging speeds per token, up to a maximum of 22 to 33% or 11 tokens. The obsession is unaffected by this penalty and instead grants a permanent 33% action speed to unhooking and healing others. An all-round alright perk, mostly used with slowdown perks like Thanatophobia and Sloppy to hinder the other 3 survivors, but is often a seesaw situation as the obsession could essentially speed up the match if they understand the perk and the benefits to altruism. Enduring. One of Billy's 3 teachable perks. Reduces pallet stun duration by 40 to 50%. As mentioned before, this is pinnacle to the rushing build with Brutal and Spirit Fury. Eruption. One of Nemesis's 3 teachable perks. When damaging a generator, Eruption applies to that generator. All affected generators are hided to you in yellow. The next time any survivor enters the dying state by any means, all affected generators explode and immediately start regressing, and also instantly lose a 10% of its progression. This also causes all survivors repairing that generator to scream and reveal their aura to you for 8 to 12 seconds. Eruption has a cooldown of 30 seconds. Another gen slowdown perk that was recently brought to Ruin. This was used in the anti-gen build with Call of Brine, Deadlock, and Scourge of Pain res because of the incapacitated effect it used to have, which would deny the survivors the option to repair if they were working on it when it exploded. Fearmonger. One of Demogorgon's 3 teachable perks. All survivors repairing a generator suffer from the following effects: blindness and exhausted for the duration of the repair. If a survivor was already suffering from exhausted prior to Fearmonger affecting them, the status effects timer will be paused and not recover. Both status effects linger for another 3 to 5 seconds after a survivor stops repairing. I see this perk used a lot when I play Survivor, and is beneficial to stealth killers as you will be exhausted and won't be able to use any of your exhaustion perks like Sprint Burst and Lithe to make a quick getaway. Fire Up. One of the Nightmare's 3 teachable perks. Each time a generator is completed, Fire Up grows in power and gains a token, up to a maximum of 5. Each token applies a stackable buff of 3 to 4% per token, up to a maximum of 15 to 20%. To the following actions: picking up and dropping Survivor, breaking breakable walls, pallets and generators, and vaulting windows, will be 15 to 20% faster. This is usually a perk that is also never used, as the perks Brutal Strength and Bamboozle easily outclass this lower tier. This does synergize with those perks, but is recommended to not use, as this is pretty underwhelming. The only benefit I see is with the Blood Warden build, since all gens are done and you will have extra speed of breaking and vaulting for the rest of the game. Forced Penance. One of the Executioner's 3 teachable perks. Survivors who take a protection hit suffer from the broken status effect for the next 60 to 80 seconds. This is another one of those situational perks, as it requires the survivors to take a hit for their friends, which could most likely happen when you run into survive with friend groups. If you manage to get this perk to work, it's pretty good on its own, as it prevents the survivor that took the protection hit to heal for 80 seconds, allowing you to get an easy down after finishing your previous task. Franklin's Demise, one of the Cannibal's 3 teachable perks. Basic attacks make survivors drop their items. If they are not recovered within 150 to 90 seconds, the items will lose their charges. The auras of the lost items are also revealed to you within 32 meters as they slowly fade to red. This is one of the most annoying perks to go against as a survivor. This perk would synergize well with any slowdown builds, as it would decimate the survivors' only method of speeding up the game, or ridding them of their pesky flashlights, which if they utilized correctly, could cost you the game. Furtive Chase, one of the Ghostface 3 teachable perks. Each time you hook your obsession, you gain a token, up to a maximum of 2 to 4. While in the chase, your terror radius is reduced by 4 meters. When a survivor rescues the obsession from the hook, they become the new obsession. If you can get enough hooks before you get gen rushed, this perk can be useful on all killers, better on smaller terror radius killers, and is the best with the chainsaw twins. Game Afoot, one of Skull Merchant's 3 teachable perks. Whenever you hit the survivor with the highest cumulative chase time with a basic attack, they become your obsession. While you're chasing your obsession, the perk activates and grants the following effects. 5% haste status effect for 8 to 10 seconds after damaging a generator or a breakable wall or pallet. This is good with the rush build, which, after breaking a pallet with the 20% break-in speed boost whilst chasing the obsession, you can break off from your animation faster and also gain that haste. It's not great, but it's suitable for the build. Gearhead, one of Deathslinger's 3 teachable perks. After a survivor loses a health state, Gearhead activates for 30 seconds. While it's active, a survivor succeeding a good skill check while repairing reveals their aura to you for 6 to 8 seconds. In the next patch, this will be a good perk on its own. Whilst in chase, you can find another survivor working on a gen and leave the other one to either heal or risk doing a gen while injured. Grim Embrace, one of the artist's 3 teachable perks. Each time a survivor is hooked for the first time, Grim Embrace gains a token. Upon reaching 4 tokens, the perk activates. All generators are blocked for 30 to 40 seconds, and the aura of the obsession is revealed to you for 5 seconds. Grim Embrace can be powerful if used correctly, and if you can get it at all. If you manage to get the hooks on each survivor, having an aura reading perk like Barbecue will be ideal, as they can't work on the gens anymore and you know where some of them are after getting that final token. Hangman's Trick, one of the Pig's 3 teachable perks. Gain a loud noise notification whenever a survivor begins sabotaging a hook. While carrying a survivor, see the aura of any survivors within 2 to 6 meters of any hook. This perk is absolutely useless. The only time this will ever pop up is if the survivor has a tomb quest to sabotage them. But why would you go to that hook when you could instead prioritize the more pressing matter of subduing gen progress? Just don't use this perk. And now we're finally onto the Hexes. Hexes are perks that light up one of 5 totems on the map. Whenever a survivor loses a health state by any means and thus enters the injured state or the dying state, Hex Blood Favour calls upon the entity to block all pallets within 24 to 32 meters of that survivor's location from being pulled down for the next 15 seconds. This perk is excellent if you don't want to get pallet stunned whilst picking up a survivor, or if you injure a survivor and they stay in that same location. They will be punished and it will be an easy down. This is good on all killers as it stops the survivors from using their most powerful tool. Hex Devour Hope, one of Hag's 3 teachable perks. Each time a survivor is rescued from a hook while you are at least 24 meters away, Devour Hope receives a token, up to a maximum of 5. 2 tokens equals 10 seconds after hooking a survivor, gain a 3 to 5% haste status effect for the next 10 seconds. 3 tokens, all survivors suffer from a permanent exposed status effect. 5 targets, grants the ability to kill survivors by your own hand, essentially a Mori. This is one of my personal favorites, since if you can manage to keep it up and get 3 hooks while abiding by its workings, it can be detrimental to your win. But once survivors realize that you have Devour Hope, which is shown to them after getting down with the 3 stacks, will most likely try and break it before proceeding with any more general progression. Hex Face the Darkness, one of Knight's 3 teachable perks. Once you injure a survivor by any means, if there is a dull totem remaining on the map, Hex Face the Darkness activates and lights it, cursing that survivor. All survivors will scream every 35 to 25 seconds if they are outside of the killer's terror radius, revealing their auras for 2 seconds each time. Face the Darkness deactivates when the cursed survivor either enters the dying state or becomes healthy. This is only useful if you want to injure a survivor and know the whereabouts of the others. I guess this is useful with Dark Devotion or Furtive Chase to surprise the others, maybe Infectious as well, if you keep chasing and want to essentially keep that hex going. Hex Haunted Grounds, one of the Spirit's 3 teachable perks. 2 trapped totems will spawn in the trial grounds. When either Hex totem is cleansed or blessed, all survivors suffer from the exposed status effect for 40 to 60 seconds. This second Hex totem will immediately turn into a dull totem after the first one has been cleansed. This perk can be amazing, but also completely useless in some cases. If they break it while you're in a chase with a healthy survivor or find one, it's great to get multiple downs. If you're chasing an injured survivor, you have to leave to benefit from it, but sometimes a survivor won't break it because they either won't find it or won't care until they figure out if the hex affects them or not. It's essentially a gamble. The survivors can gamble my nuts. Next, Huntresses Lullaby, one of the Huntresses' 3 teachable perks. Obviously. Survivors failing a repair skill check instantly regress the generator by 2 to 6% of its maximum possible progression in addition to the default progression penalty. Survivors failing a healing skill check instantly regress the healing action by 2 to 6% of its maximum possible progression in addition to default progression penalty. Each time a survivor is hooked, Huntresses Lullaby grows in power and gains a token, up to maximum of 5. Each token reduces the timer between skill check warning queue and the skill check appearing for both repair and healing skill checks. 1 token, 14%, 2 tokens, 28%, 3 tokens, 42%, 4, 56%, and 5 tokens completely removes the warning queue for the skill checks. Using the Doctor with Thrilling Tremors is probably the best use you can get out of it, as it makes it harder to hit the skill checks along with the Doctor's just in general annoying presence. Hex, No One Escapes Death, a base kit perk. Once the exit gates are powered, if there is still a dull totem remaining on the map, Hex Noed activates and lights it. The following benefits are gained when the dull totem is lit. Increases your movement speed by 2 to 4%, and survivors permanently suffer from the exposed status effect until the totem is cleansed. Once the status effect is revealed to the survivors, the aura of the Hex's totem is revealed within 4 meters, gradually up to 24 meters over the course of 30 seconds. Though this was nerfed slightly, it's still a very powerful perk, giving you speed and an instant down method during the endgame. As mentioned a while back, works extremely well with Warden. If you're a killer main watching this, please refrain from using this. I love you if you do. Hex Pentimento, one of the artist's 3 teachable perks. You can see the auras of cleansed totems. You can perform a ritual on a cleansed/broken totem to resurrect it as a rekindled totem. For each rekindled totem active at the same time, Hex Pentimento gains an additional effect. 1 totem reduces repair speed by 20 to 30%. 2 totems reduces survivors' healing speed by 20 to 30%. 3 totems reduces recovery speed by 20 to 30%. 4 totems reduces exit gate opening speed by 20 to 30%. And 5 totems permanently blocks all totems from being cleansed. I reckon this is an underrated perk. Of course this synergizes well with any other Hex totems, as survivors will most likely cleanse it, then you can rekindle it to punish them for completely neutralizing one of your perks. Hex Plaything, one of Pinhead's 3 teachable perks. If there is at least 1 dull totem remaining in the trial grounds, Plaything activates on a random totem each time a survivor is hooked for the first time. The hooked survivor suffers from the Cursed and Oblivious status effects until Hex Plaything is cleansed. For the first 90 seconds, only the cursed survivor is able to cleanse the Hex totem. The aura of the Hex Plaything's totem is revealed to the cursed survivor within 24 to 16 meters. A pretty good hex. Works well with any killer to surprise the hooked survivor after being unhooked, but most killers who run this are either tunnelers or manage to stumble upon the hooked survivor randomly and get a lucky down. Hex Retribution. One of the Deathslinger's 3 teachable perks. Survivors cleansing or blessing any totem suffer from the Oblivious status effect for 35 to 45 seconds. After cleansing or blessing a hex totem, the auras of all survivors are revealed to you for 15 seconds. This works well with Pentimento, as after they cleanse the totem you gain information of all survivors, and can then later rekindle it to benefit you once again. Hex Ruin, one of Hag's 3 teachable perks. Whenever a generator is not being repaired by a survivor, it will immediately and automatically regress its repair progress at 50 to 100% of the normal regression rate. Once any survivor is killed by any means, Hex Ruin completely deactivates. This was once the most used perk in the game as killer, since it would let the killer win 90% of the time, because the only way to not regress the gen was to hit a great skill check. It's still alright and works well with Pain Resonance, but not any perks that benefit from you kicking things. It's been long forgotten and will probably never be used again unless it's the only good perk you have. The only other good perk that runs well with this is Surveillance. Since the gens automatically regress, so you don't have to kick it, Surveillance activates as soon as a survivor gets on a regressing generator, thereby you being able to know which generator they are possibly working on. Hex Third Seal, another one of Hag's 3 teachable perks. The last 2 to 4 survivors hit with either your basic or special attack suffer from the blindness status. This can work well in a slugging build, as it acts like knockout but better if you can get multiple hits in. And since it also works with special attacks, Legion will be great for this, as its power relies on you hitting multiple survivors. Hex Thrill of the Hunt, a base hit perk. For each totem remaining in the environment, Thrill of the Hunt is granted a token. For each token, all survivors suffer from a stackable 8 to 10% action speed penalty to cleansing and blessing totems, up to a maximum of 50%. Grants a stackable 10% bonus blood points for actions in the Hunter category per token. This is just a perk for extra blood points in one category. It's pretty useless, so probably just ignore it for now. Hex Undying, one of the Blight's 3 teachable perks. The auras of survivors within 2 to 4 meters of any dull totem are revealed to you. When another perk's hex totem is cleansed or blessed, its hex is transferred to the Hex Undying totem, including any accumulated tokens, disabling Hex Undying instead. This perk is also one of my favorites, as it's amazing with any hex totem if you want to keep it. In my case, Devour Hope, and if that all fails, Pentimento is there to back it up. Hoarder, one of Twin's 3 teachable perks. Hoarder triggers a loud noise notification for 4 seconds whenever a survivor looks through a chest within 32 to 64 meters of your location. This also works when a survivor picks up any item, including limited items. Hoarder also spawns 2 additional chests. Another situational perk, but very unique. The best way to use this is before the game even starts. Whilst looking at your enemies for the match, if you notice them having no items, it's most likely that if they stumble upon a chest, they will open it, giving you perk value. Hubris, one of Knight's 3 teachable perks. Whenever you are stunned by a survivor, that survivor suffers from the exposed status effect for 10 to 20 seconds. This is one of the perks that fits right in with the rush build. Combining it with Spirit Fury and Enduring on a healthy survivor, that's a free down for you. Hysteria, one of Nemo's 3 teachable perks. Whenever you put a healthy survivor into the injured state, all injured survivors suffer from the Oblivious status effect for 20 to 30 seconds. This is also an excellent choice for Legion and can work well with Blood Echo and Sloppy. I'm all ears. One of perks. Any survivor performing a rushed action within 48 meters of your location has the aura revealed to you for 6 seconds. I'm all ears can only be triggered once every 60 to 40 seconds. Another personal favorite. This one helps so much when it comes to survivors who can loop, as when you're mind gaming them, you know where they are for that duration. Infectious Fright, one of the Plague Dude's 3 teachable perks. Whenever a survivor is put into the dying state, by any means, all other survivors within your terror radius will scream and reveal their current location to you for 4 to 6 seconds. This is good on all killers, as it just reveals the locations of any type of down, ranging from chainsaws to regular attacks. It doesn't work on grabs though, sadly. Insidious. Grants the undetectable status effect after standing still for 4 to 2 seconds. Annoying, campy, Noed. All of the above call out to me when I hear this perk. Let's just say it's really good and annoying on Bubba. Iron Grasp. Whenever you are carrying a survivor, the following effects apply. Reduces the strength of the wiggle effects, causing involuntary strafing by 75%. Increases the maximum wiggle duration by 4 to 12%. Agitation and Mad Grit are the 2 perks you want with this. And sadly, along with Insidious, this build works with Trapper if you can manage to get a survivor into the basement. Iron Maiden, one of Leg's 3 teachable perks. Iron Maiden increases your locker search speed by 30 to 50%. Survivors who exit a locker suffer from the following afflictions. They scream and reveal their location to you for 4 seconds and suffer from the exposed status for 30 seconds. It's an average perk on most killers, but is stronger on Huntress and Trickster, which allows for a quicker reload. If you have it, use it with Darkness revealed. Trust me, it's very good. Jolt. One of Demo's 3 teachable perks, but now turned into a base kit. When you put a survivor into the dying state with your basic attack, all generators within 32 meters of you instantly explode and start regressing. Instantly regresses the generator by 6 to 8% of its maximum possible progression. This perk is now really good in the current meta, as it instantly regresses any and multiple gens without you even needing to touch it. Also giving you info on where the survivors are possibly working. Knockout. One of Booba's 3 teachable perks. Putting a survivor into the dying state with your basic attack blocks their aura from being revealed to any survivor who is further than 32 to 16 meters away from them. For the next 15 seconds, the following effects apply to the dying survivor. Reduces their field of view, suffers from the blindness status effect, minus 50% crawl speed, minus 25% recovery speed. Slugging build perk, annoying. Please don't use. Lethal Pursuer. One of Nemesis's 3 teachable perks. At the start of a trial, the auras of all survivors are revealed to you for 7 to 9 seconds. Extends the duration of a survivor's aura being revealed to you by 2+ seconds. This works well on all killers, along with any and every aura perk, giving you extra and more frequent info on survivor locations. Another tip, I recommend to use this with eyeball ears. It's pretty good. Leverage. One of the merchant's 3 teachable perks. Each time you hook a survivor, leverage activates and gains a token up to 10. For each token, the altruistic and personal healing speeds of survivors are reduced by a stackable 3 to 5% for the next 30 seconds, up to a maximum 50%. This is like a worse version of Sloppy, which requires you to just slap them, whereas this is such a complicated process. I guess it's good on Legion and instant down killers, but in retrospect, just don't use this. Sloppy is better. Lightborn. One of Billy's 3 teachable perks. The auras of survivors attempting to blind by any means are revealed to you for 6 to 10 seconds. Grants immunity from being blinded from flashlights, firecrackers, flashbangs, and blast mines. Use against flashlight players. It's amazing. Mad Grit. One of Legion's 3 teachable perks. Successfully hitting a survivor will pause the carry survivor's wiggling progression for 2 to 4 seconds. As mentioned earlier, use this with Agitation, or just to look stupid while swinging while carrying a survivor. Make your choice. One of Pig's 3 teachable perks. Each time a survivor is rescued from a hook when you are at least 32 meters away, Make Your Choice activates. The rescuer screams and suffers from the exposed status effect for the next 40 to 60 seconds. This is a mid-tier, as it requires you to first off be 32 meters away, then go back to smack them instead of pressuring more gens. I guess it's good with Devour, as that also requires you to be far from the hook, but in the end, it's your choice. Merciless Storm, one of Oreo's 3 teachable perks. Whenever a generator is repaired to 90%, survivors repairing it are faced with continuous skill checks. If they miss a skill check or stop repairing, the generator becomes blocked for 16 to 20 seconds. A new perk suited for the skill check build with Overcharge and Unnerving Presence as the Doctor, as well as Tinkerer as the survivors will most likely be focusing on the skill checks rather than looking around them at the same time. Monitor and Abuse, one of Doc Ock's 3 teachable perks. Your base terror radius is increased by 8 meters. Whenever you are outside of a chase, your terror radius is reduced by 16 meters, while your field of view is increased by 3 to 10 degrees. A perk well used on already small terror radius killers, especially good on Deathslinger and Myers. Nemesis, one of Oni-chan's 3 teachable perks. Any survivor who blinds you or stuns you using a pallet becomes the Obsession. Anytime the Obsession switches to another survivor by any means, that survivor then suffers from the Oblivious status effect for 40 to 60 seconds, and their aura is revealed to you for 4 seconds. A good one to run with Play With Your Food, as when you get stunned, the Obsession switches, you break pallet, lose chase, and gain speed. Honestly, a waste of 2 perk slots, but an interestingly fun little combo. No Way Out, one of Joker's 3 teachable perks. For each survivor you hook for the first time, No Way Out gains 1 token. Once the exit gates have been powered, No Way Out activates. When a survivor interacts with an exit gate switch, you receive a loud noise notification when the entity blocks the exit gate switches. You receive a loud noise notification and the entity blocks both exit gate switches for 12 seconds, and an additional 6 to 12 seconds per token in your possession, up to a combined maximum of 36 to 60 seconds. This works well on its own, but excels when paired with Warden, Remember Me, and Noed. Nowhere to Hide, one of Nit's 3 teachable perks. When damaging a generator, Nowhere to Hide activates. The auras of all survivors within 24 meters of your position are revealed to you for 3 to 5 seconds. This is good if you stumble upon a worked on gen, but there are no survivors in sight. It helps catch those extra immersive survivors. Oppression, one of Twin's 3 teachable perks. Performing the damage generator action on a generator activates Oppression. Causes up to 3 additional generators to also start regressing. Triggers a difficult skill check on all survivors currently repairing one of those generators. Good to run with Pop Goes the Weasel, as it requires you to damage a gen, but at general, Oppression is pretty lackluster, as it's easily countered with a skill check or a tap on the gen. Overcharge, one of the Doctor's 3 teachable perks. When damaging a generator, this applies Overcharge to that generator. The next survivor interacting with that generator is faced with a difficult skill check. Failing that check instantly regresses the generator by 2 to 4% of its maximum possible regression, in addition to default regression penalty. After Overcharge is applied to the generator, the following effect also applies. Increases the regression speed from 85 to 130% over the next 30 seconds. Also a good perk to run with Unnerving Presence on Doctor, as it's good with the skill check build. Overwhelming Presence, another one of Doctor's 3 teachable perks. Survivors within your terror radius suffer from inefficiency. When using an item, its depletion rate is increased by 80 to 100%. Good to just be annoying to survivors and their items. Pairs well with Sloppy and Franklin's. Play With Your Food, one of the Square's 3 teachable perks. Each time you chase your obsession and let them escape, Play With Your Food receives 1 token, up to a maximum 3. Each token applies a stackable 3 to 5% haste status effect, up to 15%. Performing any attack that can damage a survivor consumes a token. Works well with Tombstone Myers build, as killing a survivor doesn't take up a totem. Pop Goes the Weasel, one of the Clown's 3 teachable perks. After hooking a survivor, Pop Goes the Weasel activates for the next 35 to 45 seconds. Performing the damage generator action on a generator instantly regresses it by 20% of its current regression, then normal generator regression is applied afterwards. Another one of those anti-gen perks that was nerfed pretty hard. It's still alright, but is often skipped because of the new Scourge hooks. Predator, one of Wraith's 3 teachable perks. The scratch marks left by survivors spawn slightly to considerably closer together. Don't use this. Rancor, one of Spirit's 3 teachable perks. Each time a generator is completed, the following effects apply. Reveals your aura to the obsession for 5 to 3 seconds. All survivors' locations are revealed to you for 3 seconds. Once the exit gates are powered, the following effects apply. You are granted the ability to kill the obsession by your hand, and the obsession suffers permanently from the exposed status effect. This is just a carbon copy of Bitter Murmur, but better, because you can moor your obsession when all gens are done. Remember Me, one of Freddy's 3 teachable perks. Each time the obsession loses a health state, Remember Me gains a token. Increases the opening time of both exit gates by 4 seconds per totem, up to a maximum of 8 to 16 additional seconds. The obsession remains unaffected by this penalty though. This just makes the endgame annoyingly much longer, but is very strong when combined with other endgame perks, as previously mentioned. Save the Best for Last, one of Michael Murs' 3 teachable perks. Each time you hit a survivor other than your obsession with a basic attack, Save the Best for Last gains a token, up to a maximum of 8. Gain a stackable 5% cooldown reduction on successful attacks per token, up to a maximum of 40%. Each time you hit your obsession with a basic attack, Save the Best Last loses 4 to 2 tokens. When your obsession is sacrificed or killed, you can neither gain or lose any tokens. Good on any killer that utilizes their basic attack a lot and also has a secondary damage function included with their power. These killers include Demo, Deathslinger, and Legion. Using your power to damage does not add or take a token. Scourge Hook, Floods of Rage, one of Orion's 3 teachable perks. At the start of a trial, 4 random hooks are changed into Scourge Hooks. The auras of Scourge Hooks are revealed to you in white. Each time a survivor is unhooked from a Scourge Hook, the following effects apply. The auras of all other survivors are revealed to you for 5 to 7 seconds. Just another one of those information perks, good with any small terror radius builds and Lethal Pursuer to extend the time. Scourge Hook, Gift of Pain, one of Porcupine's 3 teachable perks. Each time a survivor is unhooked from a Scourge Hook, the following effects apply. The survivor suffers from the hemorrhage and mangled status effects until healed. Upon being healed, the survivor suffers from a 10 to 16% action speed penalty to healing and repairing until they are hurt again. This is like an alternate version of Sloppy, but instead of hitting, it's hooking, and on a specific one at that. It works well with the Gen slowdown build and Thanatophobia to slow it down even more. Monstrous Shrine. The auras of Scourge Hooks are revealed to you in white. This perk also turns basement hooks into Scourge Hooks. Each time a survivor is hooked onto a Scourge Hook, the following effect applies when you are farther than 24 meters from the hooked survivor. Accelerates the sacrifice process by 10 to 20%. A once normal perk, now turned into something better. Works well with Devour, Make Your Choice, and any other Scourge Hook. Scourge Hook, Pain Resonance. One of Crow Lady's 3 teachable perks. Scourge Hooks are revealed to you in the start of the trial with 4 tokens. Each time a survivor is hooked on the Scourge Hook for the first time, 1 token is consumed and the following effects apply. The generator with the most progression explodes and instantly regresses by 15 to 25% of its maximum possible progression. Normal generator regression applies afterwards. All survivors repairing that generator will scream but not reveal their location. Now one of the best perks in the game as of the next patch. It kind of buffs more than nerfs, which will probably make it even more painful for survivors, but is usually simply countered by the survivors from simply hopping off the gen before the hook to prevent them from screaming. Septic Touch, one of Overwatch players' 3 teachable perks. Whenever a survivor performs a healing action while they are inside your terror radius, that survivor suffers from the blindness and exhausted status effects. These effects linger for 6 to 10 seconds after the healing action is interrupted by any means. This can work with the anti-healing build on Legion to prevent survivors from using their sprint burst to make a quick escape. Shadowborn, one of Wraith's 3 teachable perks. Increases your field of view by 9 to 15 degrees.
Speed. I'm fast.
Shattered Hope. Instead of snuffing boon totems, you destroy them. Destroying a boon totem this way reveals the auras of all survivors that were within its range at that moment for 6 to 8 seconds. This works extremely well with Pentimento, as you can break it, then rekindle it immediately, but is also situational and solely relies on the survivors having brought any boon at all. Sloppy Butcher. Wounds inflicted by basic attacks cause survivors to suffer from the hemorrhage and mangled status effects. which also increases bleeding frequency by 100% and increases regression rate at which partial healing progress is lost because of hemorrhage by 15 to 25%. Both status effects are removed when the survivor is healed. Extremely good, extremely annoying, used with Legion, but any other kill is fine. Spies from the shadows. Whenever you are within 20 to 36 meters of a crow who is startled by a nearby survivor, you are alerted by a loud noise notification. An extremely underrated perk. It's like a simple but effective way of finding survivors near you and or in very intricate places, or if they are just hiding. Let's just hope your survivors are dumb enough to walk and hide. Spirit Fury, one of Spirit's 3 teachable perks. After breaking 4 to 2 pallets, Spirit Fury activates. The next time you are stunned by a pallet, the entity instantly breaks it, but the normal stun penalty still applies. Used with Rush build. It's required for the Rush build to work properly. Starstruck, one of Trickster's 3 teachable perks. When carrying a survivor, the perk activates. Survivors suffer from the exposed status effect while in your terror radius. The effect lingers for 26 to 30 seconds after you leave the terror radius. The status effect persists 26 to 30 seconds for any survivor inside your terror radius at that moment when hooking or dropping the survivor. Extremely good with Agitation on any and all 4.6 meters per second killers, especially Deathslinger, even though he's not 4.6, because its timer doesn't go down until they hook or leave your terror radius. The reason it's good with the Slinger is because if you can hit your shots, you can drag them back in for a free down. Strider, one of Nurse's 3 teachable perks, increases the volume of survivors' grunts of pain by 25 to 50%. Increases the volume of survivors' regular breathing by 0 to 25%. Used with a pro gamer headset. Superior Anatomy, one of its Weskin times perks. When a survivor performs a rushed vault within 8 meters of you, Superior Anatomy activates. Increases your vaulting speed by 30 to 40% the next time you vault a window. It's fun and useful with Bamboozle and Myers, as both of them allow for already fast vaulting. Surveillance, one of Hog Rider's 3 teachable perks. The auras of regressing generators are highlighted in white. If the regression progress is interrupted on the generator, its aura will be highlighted in yellow for 8 to 16 seconds. Surveillance increases the audible range of survivors' generator repairing noises by 8 meters. This pairs great with Ruin and sometimes Oppression, as Ruin already puts the gens into regression. Terminus, one of Albert Einstein's 3 teachable perks. Once the exit gates are powered, Terminus activates. All survivors who are either injured, dying, or hooked suffer from the broken status effect until the gates are opened. The effect lingers for an additional 20 to 30 seconds after the gates are open. This is a very situational and can't imply situational enough, but just use Noed instead, it's way better. Territorial Imperative, one of Huntresses 3 teachable perks. The aura of a survivor entering the basement when you are at least 32 meters away is revealed to you for 3 seconds. Another one of those "don't use me unless you want to suffer" perks. Thanatophobia, one of Nurse's 3 teachable perks. Each injured, dying, or hooked survivor afflicts survivors with a stackable 1 to 2% action speed penalty to repairing, sabotaging, and cleansing, up to a maximum 4 to 8%. Increases the action speed penalty by a further 12% if there are 4 survivors who are either injured, dying, or hooked at the same time. Used with Legion. Or Plague. Enough said. Thrilling Tremors, one of Derpface's 3 teachable perks. After picking up a survivor, all generators not currently being repaired by survivors are blocked by the entity for the next 16 seconds. The auras of blocked generators are highlighted to you in white. More information perks, the better. Works well with Scourge Hook Pain Resonance. Thwack, one of the Merchant's 3 teachable perks. The next time you break a breakable wall or a pallet, all survivors within 28 to 32 meters of your location will scream and reveal their aura for 4 seconds. This works well with the rush build, but it's probably best not to use this at all. And this chapter really did suck. Tinkerer, one of Billy Boy's 3 teachable perks. Whenever a generator is repaired to 70%, you benefit from the following effects. Triggers a loud noise notification for that generator, revealing its location. Grants the undetectable status effect for the next 12 to 16 seconds. Works extremely well with insta-down killers with a big terror radius, as well as super fast killers like Blight. Trail of Torment, one of Conehead's 3 teachable perks. Damaging a generator activates Trails of Torment. Grants the undetectable status effect until the generator stops regressing or a survivor is damaged by any means. The aura of the damaged generator is revealed to all survivors in yellow. Use with Dragon's Grip. Trust me, it's so much fun. Unnerving Presence, one of Trapper's 3 teachable perks. Survivors repairing or healing within your terror radius suffer from the following effects. Increases trigger odds of skill checks by 10%. Decreases success zones of skill checks by 40 to 60%. Fantastic on Doctor, but not fun with survivors. Unrelenting. Reduces the cooldown of missed basic attacks by 20 to 30%. Good if you're bad at hitting survivors who can 360. Whispers. Whenever at least one survivor is within 48 to 32 meters of your location, you hear the sporadic whispers of the entity. Another good info perk, but Spies is probably better. Pair it with Strider. Zanshin Tactics. The auras of breakable walls, pallets, and windows are revealed to you within 24 to 32 meters. Windows of opportunity for killers. Another info perk, both for pallets and windows. Works well on anyone, but probably ignore if you have good map knowledge.